All right, good morning, guys. It's Darren here with BobCAD Training. Today we're going to be going over 4 standard here. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, let's get some administrative stuff out of the way here. So let me go ahead and bring my screen over here. So here we got our home page here. This is where you're going to find all your updates, post processors, that kind of stuff. 4-axis is going to be a little bit different, but I'll go in here in a second. So once you come to our main web page under support, you have support site. In that support site, go ahead and fill out the free access if you haven't done so already. Get a hold of our tech support. They'll get you switched over to the right license system there. Whatever you guys got on your account there, they'll get you set up for that. So anyways, once you do all that, go ahead and get signed in here. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And then it brings you into our support portal here. So if you guys got any, want to watch any other videos from any of the live training events that we've done here, you'll just come right over here to the left side on the contents here, click on virtual training videos, and you'll see the pre-recorded ones already in here. There's only a couple right now for BobCAM for SOLIDWORKS ones on this. So yeah, there might, but if you guys do have a standalone, we got a whole bunch of them here for standalone here. You'll see, right now the ones that we've done previously are all in V8, but they'll work for whatever you need there. And there's a milling one. I don't know. I think there's a lathe one, and that's about it. For BobCAM for SOLIDWORKS, 2-axis milling live event, that kind of stuff. But yeah, we got a few on here, not much. There goes 4-axis Pro if you guys got that for BobCAM. But yeah, so we got all our videos up here. And again, like this video is going to be, up within the next week or so here. So yeah, you can go ahead and check that out. So anyway, so we got all our, this is our support level here. Under downloads here, you got software updates. With software updates, you look under, you'll have 3 tabs here. You got BobCAD-CAM, that's our standalone. You'll have our SOLIDWORKS and one for Rhino. So we'll click on the one for SOLIDWORKS here. And then here's all the different download links that we have available here. We go down to V3 here. So, and if you got anything lower, V2, V1 in there, you'll have to click on the software archive links here and get it from there. But other than that, everything else from V3 and up is right here on the front page for the BobCAM for SOLIDWORKS. Also here, if you guys are needing post processors, go to the post processor under download, bring you to this page here, and you got request and download post processor here. Request a post processor. This allows you to request a post processor, go into our post department, and they'll get either modify one of the posts that they have available or create you a brand new one. Now, if you're running a 4-axis standard or multi-axis, doesn't matter. Anything 4-axis and above, basically, send in for a post request because we want to make sure we get everything set up because you may be running on a Y instead of an X direction for your rotation. So we need to know the A's and B's of this whole thing here. Honestly, it's not that hard to do, with our post guides, especially for just 4 standard rotary, basically, on there. And there's a couple other things that you guys may need or may not need in that post on there. So let our guys know. You can fill out the post processor right here just by, you can do it right on the web here. Fill out all the information that you were requesting here. You'll also put in, hit the drop down, make sure you got V8, 7, or 9 in there. And what kind of machine type. It's going to be a mill and number of axes. It's going to be, actually, I don't know why that thing's setting up for 3, but with that said, over here, just put in the notes down here. If you're going to do it on the web here, put in there it's for a 4-axis standard post processor so our guys know. They'll get that set up. While we're down here, we have our attached files here. So we're going to need a list of G&M codes for your machine. I know it's a Haas, I know it's a Mach, I know it's whatever, blah, blah, you know, that thing on there. But we want to keep a list. We keep a folder of your ID, your company, your name here for, you know, if there's any other changes that need to be done to the post. We don't have to go searching for the G&M codes for that. We'll just have it all right there under your account or under your folder that we've created for you, our post guys created for you. So again, send us G&M codes. We're also going to need a sample program. They only require one on there, but always send in 2 or 3. If you got any CAN cycles, send those in also on there. We'd like to know all that information. Basically, it's just a one-shot, one-kill with this post processor. That's what our goal is, but does that ever happen? No. If you want to download the post processor and fill it out by hand, scan it back in, take a picture of it, and then email it over to the post department, you can do that by downloading one of the post processors here. There should be, that's 4 and 5 axis. I think that's for, yeah, that's for multi-access, but you can just download the either post modification or yeah, you can do the post. I don't even know what that is. Let's just open it up on there. Okay, so yeah, that's for mostly for multi-access there. Okay, so just do the post request on here, wherever that is. Yeah, 3-axis post request. Put in there 4. We'll get that done for you. No big deal. Also, you know, if you're in here, you also, depending on the support level you guys got, you'll have different training videos that you can check out on there. You'll see all the upcoming live events that we're having. You can contact support, get our information if you need to, knowledge-based troubleshoot, submit a ticket if you need to. And we also got getting started on here. Looks like the only ones we got are for V9. Okay, V2, 3, 4, and that's it. Okay, never mind with that. That's if you guys are running V9, we don't have that right now on there. And then we got videos, manuals that you can always go through and stuff. Also, if you guys are looking for any extra help or anything, you know, maybe after hours or something, we do have Facebook, Instagram, and I think we do have Twitter. I'm not sure. I'm not on Twitter, so I couldn't tell you. But I know they're on Instagram and Facebook there because I am older, so that's the only ones I really use on there. But we also have this forum here. So if you go to forum.bobcad.com, and I'm going to go back to our support page here in a second here to go over a couple other things. So if you guys got any questions or anything, feel free to, you know, register. It is free. It's not only just most everybody in the office here at BobCAD that are on this, but guys around the U.S. and the world too that are on here. And they'll, you know, they ask questions and everybody pitches in and gives answers and stuff on there. So this is a great resource if you want to get something maybe after hours or something, or, you know, whatever on here. We're constantly monitoring this, you know, throughout the day. I'll be honest, at night I usually totally brain drop it and stuff. I get home and I'm just like gone, but I usually check it first thing in the morning when I do get in the office, and I'll have it up all day running, you know, just check out, see what, you know, kind of questions people are asking and all that stuff on there. Let me come back over here and let's see, let's go to, so training options here. So under training, I'm going to go to overview here. We got different training options here. So let me just go down to the seminars. Now the seminars are just for our standalone only. They're kind of basic really. But if you guys are running, you know, BobCAM for SolidWorks, we're not going to go in and training you how to run SolidWorks, but we will, you know, we can help you out with the CAM side of it and stuff. There's going to be a little bit of difference between those, but we do offer seminars. We got Detroit coming up this week, or next week, excuse me, We got Milwaukee next month, and we're looking at Minneapolis a month after that on there. So we're trying to get them all loaded in for the rest of the year here and up on the website. But yeah, we do got Minneapolis coming up after Detroit, which is next week. But if you guys are, within that Detroit area, within an hour or two, and you guys do want to come, look at it, look it up here, check it out, and we'll be glad to help you, have you out there. We also do, we got videos here if you guys want them. We got on-sites. We will come out to your shop if you guys want. That's, that one's going to be, more catered to you guys where, like seminars, that's, kind of an overview of everything on there. So this one, on-sites and in-houses. We do in-houses right now also. So you can come down to our, actually we're doing it in a hotel right now, just because of the whole COVID thing going on. We kind of keep it separate. So we got it in a local hotel, which is, within minutes from our office. But, everything's works out well with that. You can come down to Florida, have a vacation, whatever you want. And we also do online training too on there. So with that, there's all our different training options, support, content that you may want to check out and stuff. So again, welcome to V9 here for standard. And, if you've been with me before working with SOLIDWORKS, you know that I don't really draw in SOLIDWORKS at all. I can eat it enough to, get myself in trouble. That's about all I can do on there. But the CAM side, just like the standalone too. I'm pretty good with that, on there. So yeah, so let's go ahead and check it out here. So here we got SOLIDWORKS. I already got a part that we're going to be looking at here shortly. If you haven't done so already, go here to the little options box here, a little gear icon right here. Hit the drop down there. I don't know why it didn't happen. And click on add-ons or add-ins. And make sure your BobCAM for SOLIDWORKS is checked off on there, so you do have availability to, either do CAM, art, and posting on there. So make sure that's checked off either on the active add-ins or the startup here on there. I just got mine set up for every time I open it up, it's going to activate there. So BobCAM tab shows up right there. Here you got our knowledge base. This allows you to adjust and set up for any, or we got whole recognition now in here. So again, you may want to use this and set this up to, setting up different values, rules, parameters for like center drill drills, chamfer mills, that kind of stuff. You can set those all up, and we're looking at holes, counterbore holes, tap holes, and counterbore tap holes. So that's what the knowledge base is. So you kind of set up your hole recognition operations and then set up any rules that you may want to use on there. Next is our utilities. This is if you want to save any templates, add any templates, you can definitely do that within the software here. We got our NC editor. I'm going to go ahead and open this up right now just because it does take forever. And if you guys were with me Tuesday, a couple of you probably chuckling about how long it takes to open up the first time. And this one did not take long at all, probably because I don't have any code in there. So yeah, it took forever. And there was a couple of comments that guys were asking about or mentioning previously about the NC editor, that the first time it does take forever. Hey, I get it. We're human over here too in BobCAD. So we'll go in a little bit more of this later on when we get some G code in there. Just take a look at it. I'm going to look at the standard version. I'm not going to look at the pro side of the NC editor. If you guys had, if you've been with our software long enough, as far as, V8 or below, we had the Predator editor, which we have phased out now on there. And, there's a few differences between those two, but for the majority of it, it is the same on there. One of the cool things is that even if you do have standard NC editor, you're going to get color combinations, which I'll show you guys later on when we get some G code to load in there with this. So, you know, all your G codes are one color, your M codes are another color, raw text is another color, and so on. Where in the Predator editor, you had to have the Pro version in order to get the color combinations in there. So, yeah, we got all that in there for you on that. So, again, that will we'll go into that one here in a little bit and check that out. And then, yeah. So from there, we'll go ahead and I'll just minimize that for now. We got our simulation. So anytime we go into simulation, I usually come up here now and click on simulation. We'll go into the simulation. That has changed up a little bit also, not too much in there. And then we can exit out of simulation. And then we got our new job. So in case, you know, whenever you want to start a new CAM job, we can always click on this new CAM job button right here. Then we got our settings here. So general here, we got our data and CAM feature folders where they're located at. Now, if you guys are running on an external drive or something, then again, you may want to make sure that's set up properly and stuff on there with that. With that, bear with me here. We have our CAM tree flyouts. Now, these are new in the software. They're really nice. We'll see that one, and I'll point them out when we get into the CAM tree there. At first, honestly, I thought they were annoying on there, and you can disable it from here if you want to. Like I said, I found them be annoying, but after a while of having them on there and you know, realizing what I can really do with them, I kind of like them, especially if you're going to do, let's say, program numbers, which I'll get into in a little bit here also. When we do the program, it's always defaulted to 100, but if you want to put it in a different program number, that flyout's going to help out with just real easy. And you just put it in there, post out your G code, and everything's said and done. All right, so we'll get into that a little bit here also. Then we have our data collection. Data collection is on an anonymous clicks that we're picking up on your computer here as far as the CAM section. Nothing else. We don't know who you are, where you're at in the world, but we are picking up information. So, you know, if there's something that you guys aren't using all the time within the CAM side of it, and it's on the fence of are we going to keep it or not, they may get rid of it, you know, so you may not see something along the way like Toolpath pattern, translate or something like that in the Toolpath pattern. You may not see that on the, you know, in there. So data collection, again, that's an option if you want. And like I said, it's an option you can have on or off if you guys want to opt out of it on there. If you guys don't have internet where you're at, you're opt out of it anyways because we can't reach you anyways because it is to the internet. And again, we don't know who you are, where you're at in the world for this one. Also, we have our current documents and default documents. Both the same here. The only difference is that when you adjust one, you come down here to the bottom left and you hit either apply to default or apply to document, which is current document, this screen that we're on right now. So I'll just look at this because that's just easy one there. We got our CAM tolerances. You can set those up for 2, 3, and lathe there. System, chain select, spun profile type thing. Spun for lathe, excuse me. You got your workpiece simulation tolerance and fixture tolerances that you got there. And you also got your default machining order, which you can also set up. And what color do you want your toolpath to show when it's all there. Anything that you change in here, hit apply to default, then you don't have to go into here to current default document here and do the same thing over again. And then you just hit apply and OK at the end on here. So, yeah, moving on here, we have our, also when you do the add-ins, like I said, you're going to have your posting, Bob Art. If you guys got that on your license, we're not going to be going into that one today. And then we got our CAM tree history. Excuse me. So with the CAM tree history, we have our add a new machining job. We got little buttons right here. Create a new job from a template that you may have saved out. Hide or show your stock. either show your toolpath. You can start simulation from here. You can post, and you can do a post and save as. And we'll go through each one of those here shortly. And then we got our CAM defaults. So if you right-click on CAM defaults, we can do a new job from here or from a template. We have our current settings, which will open up here. And I'm going to go through each one of these here. So we got our current settings, machine parameters. Now remember, this is a default on here. So when we're working with this, it's a default for everything that you're going to do in the future here. So again, I'm going to be working with the BC4X mill here. You'll see down here number of axes off to the right, milling. You can add your own machine if you want, and we do have on our YouTube page, if you type in BobCAD machine definitions, there'll be a laundry list of videos showing up how to set up your machine definitions to either 3, 4, or 5 axis in there. But honestly, if you do have, if you're going to have to get a post request. So we make sure we get everything set up for your 4 axis, even though it's standard on there. Make sure you're running either an A or a B on here. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Anyways, it's already a long day and we just started here. So anyways, if you do have Machine Sim Pro, that's where I'm going to go at with this. Machine Sim Pro allows you to have set up kinematics of your machine in the software for simulation. So you can see, you can actually see your machine showing up there. You're going to see a basic machine on my end here. Again, I don't have anything set up or anything on here. But again, you can set those up if you want to. You can modify this of what it is and that. And there you can set up number of tools, maximum spindle speed, cutting feed rate, and rapid feed moves here also. Now with the maximum spindle speed and cutting feed rate, you want to watch those. I've come across this numerous of times in the last 9 years of working in tech support and in trainings here. Guys will say, hey, my feed or my, spindle speed only goes up to 10,000. Well, it's right here. I can go 15,000s. I put it in on the tool page, and when I post it out, it's coming out 10,000. Well, you want to put this up to, maybe 30, 40,000s. It doesn't really matter because then you got a buffer in there. So if you do, I know on my machine, I can run 18,000 RPM on my machine, and yeah, that's kind of caught me off guard. And also it's in your post processor also that we'll have to set that up to a max number, a little higher max number than what it is right now. Same thing with the cutting feed rate. You can see this one's actually set for 600 feet per minute. So I know on my machine, again, it was a flat router, not a rotary or anything. I could run, 210 at the most. I don't think I ever cut that much or fast on there. I went 200 on there, but I knew it was going to come out because it's right here. Next, we have the definitions of our machine here. So you got your, this one set up with actual geometry on here and stuff in here. So you got, this is a machine housing base. And then we got other information on there that's all with the machine housing, where's the, geometry located at, that kind of stuff. Also, we put in here, X, Y, and then this one's going to be in an A rotation, not a B on there. And then we got our Z and then collision checks there also on there. So this is the definitions here. Honestly, if you're getting a post, we're going to set up a basic machine, probably something like this on there. So, it probably won't have any, depending, you guys may not have Machine Sim Pro. So all this stuff that has a little globe on it that shows that, there's a actual geometry associated to it won't be in there. It'll just be, you'll just see this name as your post, whatever that may be, like a Haas 4X, Mach 4X, whatever it may be on here. And then you'll have X, Y, A, workpiece, Z, holder transform, and then your CC and CC1 possibly in there. So you'll see all that in there. And again, we got a video online that describes how this all works also. Next, we have our posting page. This is where your post is located at, your NC file extension, or NC file path, excuse me, and then your NC file extension. This is going to be critical here. If you downloaded a post processor from our website, or you were given a post processor, 9 times out of 10, it's most likely going to have a .nc file extension on here, because we don't know what you're running. Like mock run may run tap.tap or GCD or whatever, whatever other extensions that you may have, TXT in some cases I've come across on here. So again, this is a default setting. This, again, you may want to set this up if you downloaded a post or got a post from our post guys. Come in here and make sure this stuff's all set up for what you need it for on there. Again, if you don't use 100 as your program number, you can change that right there. Also, your sequence numbers here, we output sequence numbers unless you requested not to have sequence numbers in your G code. We'll set that up in your post processor, and then again, this will become null and void now. Also in here, we have our absolute and incremental here. So we got post settings, absolute and incremental. And excuse my stupidity on this part here. I don't know I can't remember when we changed over in the BobCAM for SolidWorks, but with the, and I know in the 24 to 25 in the standalone, that's when we switched over, and you were able to use the absolute and incremental in 24, but in 25 we set it up in the post processor there. So again, that's kind of obsolete now. For whatever reason, if you need to set up any sub-programming, you can definitely do that. You can use transform plane. You can output arcs in a 4-axis NC program if your post is allowing you for it and your machine can handle that. Machine rapids on there, you may need to use that. We have an actual program set up for that. If that ever happens on your machine, I'll put that code there on that. And then we got our output automatic comments here. So again, when we get into the job level there, I'll show you how to set that up if you want to and stuff on there, and if your post allows for it in there. Next, we have our multi-axis posting. Don't ever touch this. You and I should never touch this. But on a serious note, I'll come in here every once in a while if I need to troubleshoot something, which hasn't been anything in 3 or 4 standard. I've had to do it maybe in middle turn live tooling. I'd have to come in and, because something's not jiving with the code or something, and I may come in here and change it to like no limits or all limits, whatever it may be, just to test something out, and then I'll come back to it. But again, this is what our posting guys will set up also in there. If you're running 4 or 5 axes simultaneous here, you may need to run TCP for whatever reason for indexing and positioning, or you can run mixed mode or machine competency only, or no machine compensation, or origin tracking even also in there. And same thing with multi-axis simultaneous motions. You got those options in there also. So in the background, we'll figure everything out there on that. So once you make any changes to any one of these 4 options in here, you just come right back up here, hit save as default, and you should be good to go on there. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change my machine every time on there. So let's go ahead and right click on there again. We got our cutting conditions. Cutting conditions are if you want to set up for any drilling operations that you're doing, reamers, chamfers, counterbores, or bores on there. You got your, let's see, drilling, for example, length and cut through on there. So that's where we're picking up when you go into drilling. You'll see those options in there. It's always 50 thousandths below your cut through. Peck increments always 50%. You can always change this. Again, this is something you don't have to do, immediately, but it's something that you can do later on, once you get used to the software and that kind of stuff. Next, we have our DMS defaults, dynamic machining strategy here. So I'm just going to open this up here, and we'll look at 4-axis rotary here. So you got, now we're not going to be looking at any of these in here, We're just going to be looking at 4-axis rotary here. This is an advanced rough and advanced finishes. If you have for Pro, you'll have these availabilities. Again, I'm only going to be looking at rotary today, and that's about it on there. But if you wanted to, you can come down here and, let's say put in a advanced rough. And then when you get into the machine strategy and it looks at 4 rotary here, you're going to see rotary and advanced rough. I'm not going to leave it in there. I'm actually going to get rid of it. But again, that's something you can change if you need to in there. And again, it's something that you don't have to set up immediately. It can be set up later on after, again, you get used to the software on that. Tool library. Again, this is the default settings here. Come on, open up. So you're going to see drills, of course. That's going to be good. And also your milling tools here. And then you'll have lathe, generic, laser, plasma, and water jet in there. So, I'm going to look at the rough, for example, in here. So I'll look at 3/8. You can import either from another software, or you can import from a cloud-based system. We do have Machine Cloud availability now in V9 on there. But, you can always download it. And if it's an odd tool, you can always go in and check that out and see if you can download it and import it in so you can see it in simulation and actually pick it as your tool in the tool section of your Toolpath there. Also, if you're running V9, you don't have to worry about modifying or adding anymore. Add is this little add button right here, and you can delete any of the tools. I don't recommend deleting any of the tools from our tool library. On there, I've had one guy that did that, and I'm glad I came up and had an on-site with his company, but his reasoning was, and I forget the reason why he did all that on there, and it was justified. I said, you know what, that's fine. I'm not going to argue this for you, because there's another option we have is called a tool crib, which we'll get in here in a little bit. But he's set up all the tools in the tool library that he uses on his machines. I think he was running 2 machines, which, totally fine. I could deal with that. But the only thing I said is save a copy of it. And he did not do that. And he was very grateful for that one, because I said, put it on a flash drive, put it in your desk, and you can have it later, because, something may happen in the world that, you'll lose your tool library for whatever reason. You'll call up tech support, and they'll say, okay, no problem, we'll just transfer you ours over. And you're like, whoa, hold on a second. I created my own tool library. Sorry, dude. If you didn't save it out, we can't retrieve that back. So unfortunately, that's the issue with the tool library there. But if you do save it out and then save it, and if you do make any changes or add additional tools or whatever, constantly just resave on there. So you can do it. I don't recommend it. But if you do, just be sure to save a copy of it, because some things do happen. So like this 3/8 here, if I click on the tool parameters right here, this opens up this screen. Doesn't matter what tool I select, it'll update for me there. I can change it to either carbide, insert, custom. It's always defaulted to a high-speed steel there. If I want to, I can set up my feeds and speeds if I want to. Now, with this setting up the feeds and speeds in here, it doesn't matter what material you're using. It's going to always go by whatever you set here for the spindle, plunge, and cutting feed rate on here. Which, in my case, because I work with a lot of woods and plastics, I would just set the maximums on there, and then I adjust them on the fly depending on what I was doing and how I was cutting it and stuff. So when you set it up, when you set the tools up in here and set the initial feeds and speeds for them, again, that overrides what you have on your material library, which we'll go through here in a second. So yeah, you can set up your tool library if you need to. Let me right click on this again. And you got your tool holders if you guys want to add or edit any of the tool holders, either CAT 4050 or BT 40. And here you can see whatever is showing up in the gold outline here. That's what it's going to be here. And that's what you can adjust on there. So again, you can set those up if you need to. Also, we got our adapters. If you're running mill turn live tooling, you can set up adapters. Again, you can add or, modify any one of those if you need to on that. Then we have our thread library. So threads, we got all the different tapping groups here on this. So if you need to either come in here, you can add or modify. If you hit add here, you're going to have a sample of something in there. You can just fill out all the information and click OK, and it's added in there. Hopefully, yes, it did add it in there. I'm going to delete that one, so we don't need that in there. Or you can modify any one of them in here, so I can pick this one up and modify. So again, I had a guy call in a while ago. He was asking about how, I forget if he was using UNF, UNC, I can't remember. But anyways, whatever it was, he needed to, whatever was in between like the 1224 and the 2.5, 4 here, he had to put something in there. So of course I showed him how to add and add his own taps in there, and he was pretty grateful on that one in there with that. So again, you can do that if you need to. Then we got our material library here, so you can see you got all our different material groups in here: alloyed steel, aluminum, carbon steel, cast iron, copper alloy, magnesium, miscellaneous, old cutting conditions, plastic, stainless steel, super alloy, titanium, and tool steel. So you can choose any one of these in here. By default, we use carbon steel and I'm just going to open up modify in here. So here's all the different tool materials that we can go by here, and if you look off to the right here, you'll see them changing. So what our development guys did previously is they just opened up an MSC or MCS catalog and then loaded in all the surface feet per minute, chip loads, plunge chip loads on there, and that's how we're getting our feeds and speeds. Now, in my history here in the last 9 years here, it's kind of like an 80-20 split. And again, I don't know what's older, what's newer machines on there. So it could be, 80% of the people say, hey, these feeds and speeds suck. I can run faster than that. Hey, I get it. Newer machines, those they can run a lot faster. Tool materials coming out a lot better now. They're coming out with different tools and stuff. So, and that's, making the time and, the cutting feed rates a lot more now. So, and that is beneficial too. But some guys, 20% of the guys say, hey, I got an older machine or a home built machine or, a jerry rigged machine, whatever it may be, put together type machine. And the feeds and speeds work for them for whatever they are, because they need to run those slower speeds. So again, it's all up to you and how you want to do that on there. So with that, yeah, we are pretty much done with the CAM defaults here on there. Any questions or anything? All right, so you can see I got a part already set up here. Now, like I said earlier, I am not good at drawing in SOLIDWORKS, so I'm going to do very minimal work in SOLIDWORKS. I'm just going to leave it up to my part files that I do have available that will work. So I'm going to come over here and under my BobCAM tab here on the ribbon, I'm going to hit New Job. I'm going to use milling. Depending on what you got on your license here, you're gonna see all these on your software there. But depending on what your license has, the turning and mill turn may be grayed out, or you might have milling and mill turn and not turning, and that will be grayed out. So again, we're just gonna be looking at the milling 4-axis here. So I'm gonna hit the drop down here, and I'm gonna just use the BC4X mill. That's all I'm going to be using today. Now, the machines that I do have available, you'll see here for all my milling. Again, I'm one of the techs here, and you can see I got a 4-axis Haas A and B there. Not going to worry about using any of that on there. I'm just going to use the 4-axis mill. But these are all, a lot of them are customer machines and posts that I've dealt with in the past, and I've just got them on these here on this machine. So again, you're going to see 4 standard and 3-axis, and actually 4 and 5 simultaneous in the milling section. So from there, I make sure my start stock wizard is checked off, because once I hit the check mark up here, it'll show me this little quick screen, and it'll bring me into the stock wizard. So the first thing I'm looking at is my workpiece. Now, if you want to show your workpiece in the simulation, you can do that, or you don't have to. It's just a, you know, do you or do you not want to choose your workpiece on here? When we do go into simulation, if there's a solid model on the screen, it's going to use that as a workpiece anyway, so you don't have to select it anyways on there. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and hit the arrow pointing to the right here. And it brings me into my stock definition page here, or stock specifications. So I can either choose, you know, rectangle, cylinder, wireframe, solid model, STL, or revolve. We're going to use solid here. And let's see, I'm going to pick up my... So I just left clicked out in the middle of the CAD screen, and you'll notice that the stock is not set up properly. That is because right down here, did I just pass it? Yep. My extrusion direction, I need to change that to an X. And there it goes. It auto-updated for me on there. So I should be good with that. Now, I'm not going to worry about any other directions, changing, you know, way out in space. I got this all set up the way I need it to right now. So I'm just going to, I should have just left it right where it's at. There we go. So my Z is going out here, just like in a regular setup on here. So I'm just going to leave everything alone. Not going to worry about any offsets or anything on this. To add extra stock, I'm just going to leave it as is. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the arrow pointing to the right, hit the next button there. And this brings up my origin here. So you'll notice in here that there's some, which I don't see on this one for some reason. There should be some XY showing up in here, which I don't see, and that's fine. But anything you do for rotary here, you're going to want to keep it in the center anyways. And I got the coordinate system set up already on there, so I don't need to worry about that. On there, so we should be good. I don't have to mess with it. I probably won't mess with it at all today, and a couple other parts I bring in to show you here. But other than that, we got our work offset. Work offset 1, G54. If you got a different work offset in there, work offset 2, 3, 4, or 5, either G55, 56, 7, or so on, you can utilize those. And there, what this is a global one. So anytime we go into any of the tool paths for indexing or wrapping on there, it's going to show as work offset whatever you have set up in here. A lot of guys miss, a lot of people actually don't use that on there. They just drop right past it. And when you get into the posting page of that tool path, you can change whatever work offset that you're using from there. Now, the work on pick a point here, this is if you're running like Machine Sim Pro. And I'm going to show you this here in a bit on here. I'm going to leave it just as default on here. I'm not going to mess with it at all on here just because I want to show you in simulation, if you do have Machine Sim Pro, what it can do and what it can do for you on there. So you got that option in there. So from there, we should be good. I'll have no more arrows pointing to the right or in my next button. I'm going to go ahead and hit the check mark right here. And there it is. So now I got CAM defaults and I got milling job. Milling job works for this job and this job only. So if I right click on here, I got current settings. Current settings is kind of the same as the default ones, but the only difference is I can't save it as default, and it's only working on this job and this job only. So if I need to change my machine in post, I can do that right here by hitting the 3-dot box here and changing to whatever different machine I want. If, you know, I need to make any changes to my machine parameters settings right here, I can definitely do that. My posting, if my post is not set up right, I'll come in here and set this up right here. And also my NC file path, if that's not set up, I can do that. I get the same setup as before. Again, remember, this is all for job level, so it doesn't matter, you know, what's going to happen in my next job. This is only for this job and this job only. NC file extension, if I need to set that up. And then I got my multi-access posting here if I need to adjust anything. But again, you shouldn't have to mess with this page anyways. Then I got my comment section here. This is new now for the job level. You didn't see that in the default settings. For this is only job level. So if you want, for whatever reason, you need to output any raw text in your post processor when you generate your G code, you can make notes here, up to 15 different notes. Or you can put in lunch orders if you want. I've done that before. When I've passed off my G code on there, I put in my lunch menu. So when I get up there, I better have my McDonald's set up for me. Anyways, so you got those options in there. You just click OK and you should be good. Also, you got your machining order. How do you want your machining order to be? By individual tool per machine setup, or individual feature tool per machine setup, or individual tool. However you want to set that up. You can adjust and layout right here by hitting the up and down arrows if you want on there. Also, we have our post and save as here. Post, you'll see me use all the time. You won't ever see me use post and save as, because I do want to check out the post processor before I save it out, and I can save it out within the G code, and I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit also. We also have a generate sheet set up and save here, so we'll go into that. I'm not going to open that up right now, but there's different options in there that we can utilize in there, or different features also. You can also start simulation from here. You can also see your Toolpath statistics. This just gives you a general overview of what you've done, and you can click on different toolpaths to see, how long each one's going to take and stuff in there. With the generate, let me jump back up here to the generate sheet setup. You're allowed to, this one allows you to print out if you need to. You can email off to somebody if you need to. Just two quick examples, and if you've been with me long enough, it's the same ones I say all the time. One company guy used it, gave it to his billing department, so that's how they billed the customers, was off the generate sheet setup, because it had all the information that they needed on there as far as, length of time, what type of material, so they could charge them for that kind of stuff in there. Other company used it for, they had one programmer, he would program all the parts, put them on put G code on a flash drive, print out the sheet set up there, put it in a clear plastic bag for the guys, and put it on the machine, and they will have all their jobs that they're running for that day on that machine, or on different machines also. Toolpath statistics, this allows you to see different tool times of the tools. If you got the feeds and speed set up properly on there, you'll be able to see those right there. Update geometry and compute all Toolpath. If I make a mistake or something, maybe like on the biggest thing is my XYZ, if I didn't want it here, I want it on the other end. Instead of going through all the 10 different features that I have already set up already, I can just say update all geometry and compute all Toolpath, and it'll just run through everything for me. I got a post yes, no. What that allows me to do is if I use the post yes, no here, you'll see a red X show up, and that means it will not show up in simulation or post out in G code. So a lot of times guys will, if they're running multiple tools and they don't have a tool change on there, what they'll do is they'll do all the features like they do have a tool change on there, and then before they post anything out, they'll hit this post yes, no, and turn the stuff that they don't want the G code to come out in red X there, and then they'll post out whatever it is, and then it'll just kind of jock it, using it as a different jobs in there. So blank and unblank is our blanking of our toolpath. If you need to utilize that, you can. I usually use that a lot when I'm doing a lot of Toolpaths. I'll blank it out just so I don't, doesn't interfere with me when I'm looking at the Toolpath and stuff. I don't see all this green showing up on my stuff. We got our cutting conditions if you need to utilize those again. And again, this is all at job level here. We got our templates. If you want to save out any, you can do that. You can also add a setup, another setup if you need to. We can also do whole recognition. We can delete this job if we need to, and we can collapse or expand it if we need to, and we can also rename it on here. Then we got our machine. So if you right click on that, hit edit, you can change your machine from here. You don't have to go into current settings. You can change your post processor from here if you want to. Make sure it's going to the data folder, whatever you're running, post, mill, and then your post processor. Milling tools, you got your tool library. You'll see this is a watered down version of it now, because now you'll see is milling and drills and generic. Generic is if you got probing on your account there. We're not going to be worrying about that, but you can see here with the V9, we've added in barrel tools there if you want to utilize those. But again, if you want to adjust any of these tools, you can. And this is just in the milling section now. We have in here our tool holders. If you want to adjust or add or delete any of the tool holders, you can do that there. And verify tool assignments. So you'll have all your different tools showing up right here if you got multiple tools that you're using in different operations. And if you uncheck the use automatic tool number, you can come in here and change all the tool numbers if you need to on that. Workpiece, if you want to choose a workpiece, you can reselect it. And then we got our stock here. So with the stock, if I right click on there, this will take me back into the stock wizard, and I can set up my stock wizard again if I need to. I can change the color of my stock on here, so I can go, let's say yellow, for example. There it goes. That just didn't look great. On there, I can also change the transparency of it. So the lower I go, the darker it's going to be on here. So you can see it's kind of hard to see the bottom of that on there. And then the higher I go, the more invisible it's going to be also for us on there. So basically it's there, but it's not there. I've seen a lot of guys actually do that, is make it really high, just so they don't have to do what I always do here. Let me go ahead and move this back down here. Oop, let's go right here in the center. Save as default. Okay. There it is. I always go to the blank, unblank on here, and you can see it blanks it out. If I left click on it, it should show up. There it is. I don't know why that's working that way today. Looks like you got to rotate it. That's weird. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyways, if you hit the arrow off to the left there, you'll see there's our material. If you want to change it, you can always open that up and change the tool material if you need to. Then we have in here our fixture, if you got a fixture set up already. And then we got our different tool paths. We can work offset patterns, hole recognition, probing, all our different drilling operations, our 2-axis and 3-axis and 4-axis. Here, a multi-axis. We're not going to be getting too much. We're not going to get into multi-axis here. And you got all your different thread, 3-axis wireframe, V-carve. If you got Bob Art on your license, you'll have availability for V-carve in there. And you can also load features in if you get save features out. If it's the same toolpath that you use all the time and all the parameters in that toolpath are the same, you can load that feature, and you can. All you really have to do is select geometry and compute that toolpath, and you should be good on there. You can also copy and paste toolpaths also, and you can do the post yes, no, and blank on blank toolpath, and again, you can rename this also on there. From there, we got our flyouts here. So again, with these flyouts here, come on, fly out for me. There we go. Real easy. Like I said, they were annoying to me at first, but I kind of gotten used to them. So if I wanted to change my program number, I could just do it right on the fly here and go, 951, hit apply down here, and be good to go on there. If I got, stock orientation, if I want to change my clearance plane or my work offset, I could do that right there that kind of stuff. So the flyouts are good if you want to utilize those on there. So any questions or anything so far? All right, well, let's do this. Let's do a quick 5-minute break here. We'll come back in, and then we'll throw some Toolpath on here. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, we're back here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of keep it basic today, like I said. Again, I'm not good with drawing in the SOLIDWORKS or anything, but I know my way around on here. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to look at is indexing. Real easy. So I got my part right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pocket this out here, and we can do a profile finish at the end. Now, one other thing I'm going to do on this is I'm going to add a Toolpath pattern, and I'm going to show you how to do all that, and so I don't have to do an index for each one of those on there, which I could do on there, but I'm going to do it the fun way here, I guess. So anyways, we're going to right-click on Machine Setup 1 here. I'm going to go down to Additional Functions, and on that flyout, I'm going to go to, whoops, there we go, Index. Now I'm going to click the bottom of this index because that's where I want it to be here. And let me see. Let me hit reselect. Something's not working out for some reason today. All right, there we go. That should have just popped into that screen there. So what's going on here, I'm not sure. It was all working yesterday when I was doing all this, but I find quick workarounds on a lot of stuff. So anyways, you can see here I picked the bottom floor of this pocket here, and that's where I want my index to be. If the arrow is pointing out like it is, that's good. If it was pointing the other direction, you know, where you only see all this, and if I come over here to that, you can see right there it's going in the wrong direction. So I'm going to hit reverse, and that should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay to that. Now, what I need to do is I'm not going to right-click on Machine Setup 1 anymore. I'm going to right-click on Index System. So I'm going to right-click on there, and I'm going to go Mill to Axis. Again, I'm going to keep it pretty simple here. So I'm going to hit Select Geometry here, and on this one, let's bring, this one's going to be easy. All I can do, why is this? I'm going to hit the floor here. Wait, hold on here. Let me okay that, and I'm going to hit escape a couple of times. And what I'm going to do here, bear with me, I'm going to hit delete, say yes. And I'm going to do a file save as right now. It cannot be saved. Do you want to save this sketch and continue? Okay. So let me disregard any changes. Good. All right. So I might have messed up somewhere. So we're right where we want to be. So let's try that again. Right-click on Machine Setup 1, Additional Functions, add an index. Now I'm going to right-click on Index System and hit Reselect. I think that's what I messed up on. I'm going to select that right there. Should be good. I'm going to say OK to that. Everything's looking good. Now I'm going to right-click on Index System. I'm going to go Mill to Axis. Now I should just be able to pick, perfect, the floor. That's what I wanted to pick right there. Now I could pick just the 2D geometry on there, but because we're going to pocket it all the way down to the bottom of this, I can just pick the bottom floor. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Brings me back to the geometry selection window. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and hit Next. And now I got my top of feature and total depth. So I'm just going to double check this, and I'm going to click on this line here and say OK. There's my top of feature, and my total depth is going to be the bottom here. And I'll hit the check mark. And I'll hit the check mark. There we go. Whew, I don't know what was going on there. So There we go. So we got that. Now, extensions here, what that is if we have open geometry, we can have the toolpath start off the part and end off the part, either by a percentage of whatever your tool diameter is, or we can set a distance to it. I'm not going to worry about that at all today because we're not going to have any open geometry. So we'll go ahead and hit next. This brings me into the machine strategy, where I'm going to go ahead under machine strategy here. I'm going to use pocket. And with the pocket, I'm going to do a pocket with a profile finish. If I want to bring anything over from the available operations, I can choose that and hit the arrow pointing to the left. And if I want to, I can adjust it. Whatever I have selected, I can move it up or down, or I can delete it there. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Brings me into the tabs. I'm not going to use tabs at all today. I'm not going to utilize those at all. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next and get into the posting. So if I need to adjust my work offset, I can do that here. If I want to start at a certain angle, I can set that up here. And how do I want the code to come out? In line or arc moves. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Get into multi-axis. Again, you shouldn't have to mess with this. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Now, it's picking up the system tool for my tool library, but I don't want to use that half inch. I'm going to click on tool crib here, and I'm going to go end mill rough, and I'm going to choose add from library. So I'm going to choose my go-to one here is my 3/8. I'll say okay, and then okay again. And then from here, if I need to, I can adjust my feeds and speeds. If I need to, I can adjust, turn off my coolant if I don't have any by hitting the drop down and hitting off here. Or, you know, if it's something that you use all the time, you can change that there. Now, again, this is and we just had this discussion yesterday in our meeting there in the morning about this. Some guy came across, the problem was that his machine was stopping at flood every time at that M08 call out. Well, the problem is that he can't use it on there, and his machine recognizes it and will error out and say, hey, what's going on with it, buddy? I know on my machine, I've always used flood. I don't have flood on there, and my machine says, whatever, dude, we're not going to use it. So we'll just bypass it. It doesn't error out. Again, some machines will error out, some machines won't. It depends on what your machine is. Just be careful of that. If it does error out when it comes, when it runs that G code and comes up to that M08 call out or whatever the M call out is, that's probably wise. You can't use any one of those options in there. So not going to worry about that one today. So we're going to go ahead and hit next button. We get into the pattern here. So we got standard. Your availabilities are with parallel cut, pocket out, start from the center, work our way out, or from pocket in, start from the center, work our way in there. We can set up a lacing angle in here. 50% is always the default number. I'm going to say 30. That's something I use all the time, but I've seen a lot of machinists. Now, again, I worked with routers, so I was different. But I've seen a lot of machinists or milling guys out there that will use 40 or 60%. That was always their go-to number. We also have an option here for advanced pocket also. This adds in a more spiral. It doesn't matter what the geometry is. It's going to do a continuous more spiral into the part there. Or you can do adaptive roughing or tricordial cutting. You can choose that option in there. Also, you can still use the pocket out, pocket in, and parallel in here. If you use the advanced pocket, you also have this option here for rest roughing. So, again, if you want to come in with another pocketing operation, what will happen is you'll check on that second one, you'll check that off and say you're going to use for the first pocket to clear everything out in here, you're going to use a bigger tool. And then all you want to do with that small pocketing tool and pocketing operation is just come in and clear out the areas that the bigger tool couldn't reach. So then that's where I'd use this rest roughing. You'll see the tool, previous tool show up, the radius if there was one in there, and any allowances. And then with that, once you compute it, it'll just come in and cut in the corners that it needs here on there. We're not going to utilize that today. We'll just do standard, make it real quick and easy. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and hit next. Our side allowance here is set to 15 thousandths as a default number. Again, if you want to do something different in there, maybe 0.005, I don't care. You can put that in there. So it's going to leave 5 in there For the side allowance, nothing for the bottom. We can do this in a single depth in there, or we can do multiple depths. And it doesn't matter what the depth is on there. It could be 1.5 inches, 4 inches deep that you're cutting. We're always, when you click on multiple steps, it's always going to divide it by 2. Okay? Now, if you want to change the depth of cut in here, you can definitely do that. What I usually do is say, hey, I want to do maybe 5 cuts in here. So I'm going to take the total depth, which is 0.5484, divided by 5, and I'll hit tab. And there it is. I get 1097 each pass in there. So that should be good for this, just as a demonstration. From there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next to get into my entry or leads. In here, you have options for plunge, which you can use single depth, peck, or fast peck. You can also use ramp or spiral in there, and you can set the parameters for each one of them. Now, if you use ramp or spiral, you'll notice that the pecking operation goes away. We'll go ahead and just use plunge. From here, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get in machining order. We're only cutting 1 out technically right now. So we're just going to do closest, but you could do no sorting, X, Y direction, custom direction, or optimize if you wanted to. You can also use a start position if you want to also. I'm not worried about that again. From there, I'm going to go ahead and hit next, get in my linking. How am I going to link this together? So right now, we're just going to do a direct. Now, if I would have used in here advanced on here, and I'm going to come down the link, you'll notice I got more options in there for S and full retract for linking the Toolpath here and between groups on there. So we can do like a retract on there. Let's go ahead and just leave it on that. Then from here, we go ahead and hit next. We get in our advanced feed rates. Advanced feed rates are in the software, so you're going to see general override on every one of the toolpaths, 2, 3, and 4 axis there. Different toolpaths are going to have different options in here. Because we got it on advanced, you're going to see link feed rates together here, and you got an adaptive feed rate, either use a standard or volume-based adaptive toolpath if you want. And then we also got our corner slowdown options in here if you need to utilize those. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our profile finish toolpath. So I'm going to hit on tool crib here. And again, here are your different options now to use on there. Where the ML rough, you only had ML rough and finish. In the profile finish toolpath, you have options in here for V-tool, T-cutter, dub mill, lollipop, and taper. We're going to go ML finish here. We're going to choose from library here, and I'm going to choose a 1/4 inch flat end mill. So I'm just going to choose this one here. Should be good. And I'm going to say OK. And then OK again. And if I need to adjust any feeds and speeds, I can do that. Or my coolant, I can definitely do that also. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. In here, we got our patterns here. So standard. If we used a profile rough, you'd see corner rounding and side roughing in here. We got system comp either off, left, or right on here. And if you want to utilize machine comp G41, G42, you have that option here also. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our parameters. So this is all going to look kind of familiar. So on this page, we'll go ahead and leave that alone there. We'll hit next. We get into our leads. So there's our plunge ramp with peck, fast peck. You know, you can use different lead in and lead out on there also on that. So again, you can use right angle, circular, or blend, whatever you use for the lead in. The lead out's going to follow there unless you uncheck it, and you can do something different in there. From there, we'll go ahead and hit next. We get into our corner types. So again, this works well with the profile rough also. So we got corner types. So outside, you can choose round, loop spiral, length, triangle, or bisect line. Again, we're just going to let the geometry dictate what the toolpath is going to be for internal also. Then we got our machining order if you need to adjust, set up for any sequencing, either closest, no sorting, X, Y direction, custom, or optimize. And again, start location also. And then we got our advanced feed rates again. You'll notice here, this one has a feed in rate percentage, either 100% of the feed rate, or you can change that to like 30 and 250 on the lead out. I don't care. From there, you'll notice we don't have any more next. We got finish and compute. Finish will hold out our parameters, and we can compute it at a later time if we want to. But in this case, we'll go ahead and hit compute. And it'll take a little time there, and there it is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on feature 2 axis. I'm going to come down here to blank, because if I click on pocket, there's our pocket operation. And if I click on profile finish, there's our profile finish. And you can see there's our lead in right there, comes around and lead out. I did a vertical lead out. So that works out well. If I want to, I can right click on any one of those tool paths. Third one down is backplot. This will show me the tool, and I can either hit play or I can just step it forward here and kind of see what I'm going to do here. Also, you'll come down here, you'll see your current tool location, current tool orientation, and also any arc, what if it's an arc, feed, move, that kind of stuff in there. You can kind of see what it's doing right on the CAD screen there on that. So other things are on this is that we want to go ahead and we can do an index on each one of those, and then we can basically right click on this feature and we can copy that feature, or we can copy it with geometry if we want to on there. So that just eliminates, you know, an extra step in there. So, you know, I can come in here and say, let's machine setup 1, additional function. Let's add an index. Let's just do 1 here. Now I'm going to right click on this feature and I'm going to copy with geometry, and I'm going to right click on this index system and I'm going to say paste feature. You're going to get this dialog box that says, do you wish to load the top of feature and depth? Yes. And I'm going to hit the here, and then all I need to do is right click on that index, hit reselect, we'll pick U. There it is right there. Everything looks good. And my geometry should be selected. It's actually picking up that geometry. Okay, so we're going to reselect that. And we're going to clear that selection out and do this face. We'll say okay. And then I'll compute that toolpath, and there it is right there. So that's if you want to copy and paste that geometry and do different indexes. I'm going to delete this. Let me try that again here. And we'll delete that. I'm going to do what's called an toolpath rotation here. So there's our toolpath right there. And what I want to do is I want to right click on machine setup 1 and go down to additional functions and add a toolpath pattern. We're going to, you have options here for array, translate, rotate, and point. We're going to do rotate. I'm going to hit next. And we want to do this in a 3D option here. So I'm going to click on 3D. My angle, again, I don't know what it is, so the equation I'm going to use is because I got 3 pockets in there. I'm going to go 360 divided by 3, hit my tab key, gives me the 120. How many copies do I want? I want 2, because I already got the third one done already. So from there, if I don't need to do anything on this, I should be good. I'm going to hit OK. Now, the problem is nothing happened there. Actually, that did work out on one of them. On there. But that's not what I really want to do there. So what I need to do here is I need to, let me go ahead and link this in an isometric view, is I need to go over here to sketch and hit sketch here. And I'm going to pick this face right here because I want to work on this face first. And I'm just going to come here and choose point real quick and easy. And I'm going to put a point right in the center there. And I'm just going to say okay to that. And then I'm going to turn this around here. But I need to let's see, let's exit sketch, and then we're going to enter sketch here, and I'm going to pick that face, and I'm going to say yes to that. And I'm going to go into point and put a point in the center there. Say okay, and then I'll just confirm it there. So now I should have a point on both ends, which I do. So now what I'm going to do here, again, I'm going to look at this in a isometric view because there's where my start is. So I'm going to right click on Toolpath pattern here, edit. I'm going to say pick, and I'm going to pick that point right there. And you'll notice there's my X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to go back here now, and I'm going to say yes to that. And this one actually should change. There we go. So there's my 0. And now when I say OK, there we go. So I want to make sure I get my start and finish of that whole cylinder right there. On there, putting the points on the faces, just the easiest way to go around that. So now I got my rotation in there. I toolpathed it once, added a toolpath pattern, 3D rotate, make sure I put my points in there. I don't know which would have been faster, indexing it, copy and pasting the toolpath. You know, it is what it is on there. So you could, you know, it could be whatever you want it to be on there. I just like doing the toolpath pattern with the rotate on there. Basically, it just did it one time and that's it. So I'm going to come up here and do a save as. And I'm going to throw this on my desktop here. And I was probably going to warn me, yep, older version, I know. So that's fine. We'll update the version on that. And then I'm going to come over here to my BobCAM tab, and I'm going to hit Start Simulation. This will bring up my simulation here. So if you do have Machine Sim Pro, you can show your machine. Now this one's going to crash a lot right here because of this. It's going to crash into there. It might or might not, depending on how. Anyways, or you can do workpiece stock or tool selection. I like to usually use not machine, but workpiece stock here on this. So we're going to hit restart on here, and I'm going to slow it down some, and I'm going to hit run. Kind of speed that up there. There we go. Again, remember I got this going down in 5 steps here, so bear with me here. So it should do all the pocketing first. It should rotate here in a second. I think after this right here. Yep. And you can see right here all the different operations, and we'll finish and we'll rough. It's got a few more steps to do in here. And there it is. And again, now with the simulation in here, if you hold your right mouse click down, you can rotate it. Left mouse click rotates. Right mouse click lets you pan right down to left and right, up and down on there. And if you roll your mouse wheel in, it's going to go in towards wherever, and it zooms the cursor. So wherever your cursor is, that's where it's going to zoom in on there. So again, you can kind of look around on there and see what it's going to do on that. So from there, you'll come up here to the tab, the BobCAM tab, and on that ribbon, you'll hit Exit Simulation. And it'll bring you out of simulation. Now, if everything worked out right and you like what you see here, then you can either right-click on Milling Job here and go to Post, or you can hit the little icon right here that says Created NC Program, and there's all the code there. Now, with the V9 here, I can hold my control key down and roll my mouse wheel, and this allows me to open up or, you know, make the G code a lot bigger or whatever I want in there. And then if I right click in the middle of G-code anywhere, I could do a save as, save it to a flash drive, save it to a network drive, whatever I may need to go. Do not save this directly to your desktop. It will corrupt your G-code file on there. You could save it to a folder that's on your desktop. There's read-write issues. I would just say, either save it to a flash drive, save it to a folder on your desktop. If you want to pick it up later, you can do that on there. Or we can go into the NC editor, which we'll do here right now. There we go. And again, I'm not going to look at the pro version of it, so you should just see a screen like this. And again, your G-code, everything's all going to be color coordinated here for you on this. So if you want, you can utilize this as a glorified notepad, and you could do a file options. Let me hit cancel. File save, and then do a save as from there, and you can save it out to a destination if you need to make any changes into your program. Hopefully you don't have to. It should be good to go, either out of the box or off our website or through our posting department. It should be good to go from there. You'll notice in there, because of the flyout, I put in my program number 951 right there. On there, if you were using a RS-232, you'll come over here to the Tool tab, and on that ribbon, you'll hit Start DNC. This allows you to set up whatever port you're running, baud rate, parity, data, and stop bits. What kind of flow control are you using? And you can set up your communication protocols if you need to utilize that. With this, you can also send, and you can also receive from your controller also on there if you need to. So with that, there it is. And then let's see what else we got here. Our Toolpath statistics. This allows you to see, how long is this part going to take. With the feeds and speeds in there, I got in there right now, it's going to be over an hour, almost hour and 40 minutes there. So the pocket operation is an hour and a half, and then the profile is almost 6 minutes. If I right click again and go down to, where to go, generate sheet setup here, I got full sheet setup, mill setup, setup symbol, tool list simple. Let's just look at full sheet setup here. It's going to take a snapshot of our CAD screen here. And we wait for this patiently. Ask me later. And you can see here we do have a video online. If you go in and type in BobCAD generate sheet setup, there's a video online how to modify the sheet setup or any one of them in there. If you want to put your logo in there, you can, instead of using the BobCAD logo. But here's the file name, post-processor, machine, date, time it was created. All your program data, your program model is picture taken from your CAD screen. Your stock information, the type of tools that you're using, and then the cycle times or the operations here on that. Again, you can email this off. You can save it out, email it, or print it off if you want to from there. But yeah, any questions or anything with that? All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and break here for lunch. We'll come back at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll look at it wrapping and then rotary there. All right, guys, we'll talk to you in a bit.